Hi everyone, it's day 64 of the Vendée Globe, and joining me today is Joff Brown. Joff is the guy that prepared and managed my own Vendée campaign and has been the go-to guy for many other campaigns as well. Joff worked with Mike Golding in 2001, joined me in 2004-5. He was the project director for Dee Caffari's campaign and was part of Alex Thomson's build in the 2012 race. He then subsequently worked on and off, I think, with Rich Wilson and is now the technical director with Pip Hare for her campaign. So welcome, Joff. How
Hi, Conrad.
good to see you. How are you doing?
Yeah, good, thank you. Busy.
I bet you'll be a relieved man when Pip passes the horn and back into the Atlantic.
Yeah, I think so. Until she finishes, you can't relax, but it's certainly nice to get that south out of the way.
So I want to talk a little bit about the rudder change. Obviously, a few years before in the 2004 race, we went through this process, but this was a difficult place to change the rudder, middle of the Pacific Ocean. Explain a little bit about what was involved.
Yeah, I mean, really, we were sort of working from the work we did with you in 2004. I think when we had that problem in 2004, it was a new problem to us. You were relatively close to Cape of Good Hope. I can't remember. It was 2 day sailing or something. And I think for us, it just seemed like the safer option. Obviously, if you look at where Pip had the problem, there's no safe haven. There's a high pressure, probably 800,000 miles north, but that's 2-3 days sailing. And for us, I think we just felt we needed to do it. And when you don't have a choice, you just have to do these things that you wouldn't otherwise do.
Yeah, and presumably, if the stock was cracked, there was a danger that it could break and then cause some issues with the bottom bearing. So I guess you kind of needed to get on with it. But it seemed like Pip, took the bull by the horns and just found the window and said, "I'm going to make it happen."
Yeah, exactly. You never when you don't want a problem to escalate. Basically, we knew we had a spare rudder. That rudder was broken. That's fine. What you don't want to do is keep sailing, potentially break the bearing or break the boat in that area. So the first thing Pip did was just slow the boat down and get it all under control and give us a bit of time to assess the situation.
Yeah. What additional risks are there when doing it? With all the motion in the Southern Ocean there, compared to sort of perhaps being in the harbour or in sheltered water.
I think we managed to work out a way of Pip doing it without her having to go in the water, which was a big plus. And obviously, I don't think we'd have considered doing it if she had to go in the water. It'd just be too dangerous. The other risk is losing the new rudder, I guess, or damaging the boat. But the boat's pretty tough, so I was pretty happy that even if stuff got thrown against the boat would survive. I didn't. I think I probably thought the sea state was not as bad as it was. I was when she sent the video back and I saw the sea state. I was like, okay, yeah. But that's sort of the benefit of having her doing it and me at the other end encouraging her to do it. I can't actually see what the conditions are, so
Yeah.
she sort of takes comfort in my confidence, even though my confidence is completely blind.
So she's sailing a brilliant race, and I know that that's partly down to her personality and her tenacity and so on. But I also know that it's important to have a really great team behind all of that. What do you do to sort of keep her calm? I mean, you're naturally a very kind of positive, calm person anyway, but does she need that to hear that down the end of a phone or a text message?
I think so. I mean, she's very, very independent. So you don't ever feel like you need to give her any emotional support. Not once have I really had the impression that she's struggling emotionally. All her probably 99.9% of her reports are all positive. She always sees the good in most situations. Obviously, you get down in a race like that. There's so many ups and downs, and it goes on for a long time. So you can't be immune to having sort of a bit of an emotional roller coaster. But from my point of view, I think keeping, it's just that quiet, calm reassurance that, we prepare the boat as well as we can. You put the stuff on for them to be able to do it. You can't really, what can I say? You can't over explain how to do something because you're not in that situation. So all you can do is offer advice and then step back. You know, all you guys are very, very capable of looking after the boat, and you really take that on when you go offshore. So it's just a gentle encouragement, really, knowing that all you guys are very, very capable of making a decision for yourself. It's just sometimes you just need a bit of confidence building to push you over the edge to actually do the job. I mean, I wouldn't be able to do it. You know, I'd be crying in a ball in the cockpit if I was there. But it, you know, it's teamwork, isn't it? You guys have got the ability to go out there and do it, and a little bit of technical help and a bit more of confidence building from someone who's in a more, you know, is at home in the warm or whatever is helpful.
Had some rest and so on. So I want to talk a little bit about Isabelle's problem on MASCF. She suffered a keel ram failure, not dissimilar from what happened in my race in 2004-5. Can you describe the emergency system that they use or that blocks her keel, and why this has failed?
Yeah, I'm not overly familiar with her boat, but I assume it's very similar to the standardised system that's used on all the newer boats since 2015-14. It's basically they've got one hydraulic ram which controls the cant, and obviously that failed for her a few weeks ago or a week ago, 10 days ago. And then she's relying on effectively I think it's a similar arrangement to a ram, but without any hydraulics, and it's just secured in one position. So it's a fixed length, and it just holds the top of the keel in one place.
Yeah, and so it's not hydraulic, but that's failed in some way. It's sheared or broken, or
yeah, I assume it's probably a metallic failure, and I guess the intention when that was designed and built or engineered is that it should be enough to get the boat home. Obviously, when that actually broke, she was in some pretty heinous conditions, still in the Southern Ocean, and she still had for a backup system, she still had quite a long way left to go in the race. Unfortunate.
Now, the keel system on Pip's boat, to count the system, is not hydraulic. It's a rope and winch based system.
Yeah.
From a security perspective, that it's a good alternative, so a backup system for some of these hydraulic keels, or is it just too kind of old and heavy now to be even contemplate?
It's not so much the weight or the technology, I guess. It's just in how the new boats have evolved. The lever arm of the canting mechanism is now much lower than it was when Pip's boat was built, and even when Helamoto was built. It's now, I think it's like 0.5 meter, 600 mil above the pivot. So it's all really low, and the whole keel box structure, and because now also you've got the mast is sat on top of the keel. So that whole structure is really closed down, and they've tried to drive any room for water out of the keel box. So keel boxes are just much smaller. Everything's lower. And it's really, really packed in on the newer boats, and I'm sure it would be similar on the old Safran.
Yes,
MACSF.
Okay, well, I've got a quick video here just to remind you of the time when both my rams let go, and then a couple of graphics to sort of describe how we came up with a solution, or how you came up with a solution to fix it. So this was the moment I think the keel rams finally let go.
About 2-3 days ago we suffered a keel ram failure, and gradually the second ram has been losing pressure until today, where it finally let go. Managed to so far stabilise the situation by putting a lashing around each side of the ram. I don't know what to do next, really. I think I've got to somehow secure the rams themselves. The keel's still got quite a bit of violent movement, which is shaking the boat around, shaking the rig around. I still think there's a very good chance that we could lose the keel. This could be too difficult to solve, this one. It's got my beat at the moment. You never know. We'll find a solution, I hope.
So we did find a solution. Well, you came up with an ingenious solution, which was to wrap some of the Dyneema around the piston, so they couldn't actually go in and out of the rams themselves. And gradually, we got more and more turns on to stabilize the keel, which absolutely blocked it off. But in the process of just the few days when we were sailing along without the keel being supported, we lost some small little bearing surfaces that were in the holding it around the pin, and so there was this kind of play in the keel, both fore and aft. Not much, a couple of mil, but enough to kind of really wear the pin down. And I remember having a conversation with you, saying, this horrible kind of sound, graunching sound of the keel pin. It sounds terrible. And I think you had a conversation with Pascal Conk in the Fino office, and they were sort of saying, we think probably sail towards the Brazilian coast unless you can get the keel canted. So we came up with this sort of plan to kind of crash tack the boat on one side with a keel down to leeward, and then relash the boat, and then sort of do a pirouette round and get back onto the other side. And that was enough to put enough pressure in the pin to kind of stop it from moving. So, of course, every time we tacked and jibed the whole way back from south of the equator, had to redo that whole process, which was made a tack and a jibe about an hour-long process, which was quite fun. This race is obviously... is difficult to finish. We've got boats coming round the Horn. We've still got a long Atlantic leg left. This time round, we've had less issues with boats, a lot less that have dropped out. But I guess you're sat there thinking, we've still got an Atlantic to go, and probably preparing Pip to really, it's still a third of the race effectively still to go for her.
Yeah, it's the worry. I mean, boats have, have lost their sails 100 miles odd from the finish. We've lost masts, that kind of distance from the end. So it really isn't over till it's over, this race. And it's just, the boats and the skippers are just getting worn down the whole time. We're so many days into the race now, without the boats having had a really good look. The skippers do what they can, but they can't get everywhere and they can't check everything. So some things they'll miss for sure, and that'll come back and get you at some point.
Yeah. So I guess Pip seems to be very diligent in terms of her checks, and probably having an incident like this with the rudder is going to really redouble her efforts and make sure that she just keeps on top of things and checks away. She's definitely got all the ingredients to finish this one, and it'll be an incredible race for her. Really great job by all of you.
Thanks. Yeah, no, I think let's hope, touch wood and all that. Let's hope she doesn't have any big problems going forwards.
Let's have a quick look at the current situation. So this was the tracker a couple of days ago. If we just watch it forward, I'll zoom in a little bit. So over the weekend, Yannick's lead is evaporating by the minute, and at this point, that lead group are certainly all really in contention. You have to say, there could be sort of 5 or 6 boats in contention for winning, although maybe the foilers will get their moment in this next sort of bit of upwind and reaching conditions across the equator, where they might pull away. But Pip looks she's half a day or so from rounding Cape Horn.
Yeah, I think later on this evening, it's a shame really, since she had the rudder problem. She's had the breeze has been on the beam pretty much, so it really hasn't suited our boat. This boat's got a very low righting moment compared to the boat she's down there with. Even though Alan's got keel problems of his own, his is locked in the middle. He's got a foil, so he's going to be getting some right moment from that. So unfortunately, she's been losing probably 10 miles every 4 hours or so to those guys. But I think, once she gets around the horn, there's more tactical options, which she seems to have done really good on so far. Maybe some lighter conditions, which our boat's pretty good in. And so, I think it's a shame she's lost a few miles, but compared to where we were when we, had the rudder broken and potentially some bigger problems, we're pretty happy.
Yeah, well, it's been quite a complicated South Atlantic, so let's hope the St. Helena High sort of sorts itself out for the time these guys get round. Let's have a quick look at the forecast over the next couple of days. So that was the situation at lunchtime today. So lunchtime tomorrow looks like they've got a system to carry them certainly up past the Falklands with, and potentially hook into another system. So at least certainly for the next couple of days, it looks pretty favourable for that group. They make some roads in on that middle group. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, I am. I mean, I kind of feel sorry for them for a bit because I think when you get around Cape Horn, you kind of think that's it. I think Pip said the other day, it's not all rainbows and pina coladas or whatever. You still, if you look at where the AEZ is, there's still certainly that big pack were up against the AEZ. And it's, you've still got some pretty big winds coming through and probably pretty big seas. And I think it's probably another week before she's into the pina coladas, I suspect.
Yeah, that's right. That's Wednesday. We go to Thursday, then that high pressure drifts across. So, choice to be made as to whether they stay next to the ice limit or try and fight their way across it. But certainly going to be looks pretty fast for the next couple of days at least.
Yeah, that'd be good, and hopefully get some distance on the guys behind her as well, because she had sort of made quite good roads to getting away from Didac and the guys with him. So hopefully she can build a bit more of a gap.
Yeah, definitely. But Josh, that's been brilliant. To catch up and say hello. I've been meaning to catch up for a while. I know Dee says hello, and all the other probably teams that you've been working on. We've been thinking about you. Saw you on the show yesterday, and it's great to finally catch up. So that was Joff Brown. Fantastic to get him on the show, just to hear his thoughts on the rudder change with Pip Hare, and to hear a little bit more about the amazing race that she's been going through. We're back on Wednesday. See you then. Cheers. Bye-bye.